Hi everyone, it's nice to see your faces again if you've seen me on a webinar before. Today we're going to be doing a really cool webinar about improving customer retention with HubSpot Service Hub, and I'm joined by Mo, which we'll introduce shortly. But just going to give you everyone a few seconds to kind of settle in. But today's webinar is going to be 30 minutes long, and you will also get a copy of the deck after the webinar ends. But yeah, hopefully this will pique your interest a bit more about Service Hub if you've never used it, and also if you're using it and you don't feel like you're using it to the fullest extent. Okay, let me go on to. So my name's Clorinda. If you've never met me before, I might have seen some of you. I am a HubSpot strategist at BBD Boom, and my job is basically to help our clients use HubSpot in the best way possible. So I take time to understand your business requirements, and then we figure out together how to set up HubSpot to suit your business needs and your processes across all your teams. Today, I'm joined by Mo from HubSpot. Mo's an enterprise account executive, but I'll let you introduce yourself as well, Mo.
Oh, thank you. And really excited to be here for this session today. As you were mentioning there, I'm Mohammed Goes, and I'm an enterprise account exec here at HubSpot. And within my role, obviously, is to support both our customers and our prospective customers as well to kind of evaluate HubSpot, understand its use cases and how it may apply in their broader business. Super excited about today because we are talking about everything Service Hub and service related, where I've spent a number of years working within and supporting within also at my time at Gartner. So really working with CX leaders, service and support leaders, even in a previous life, a long time ago, actually working within service and support myself. So yeah, looking forward to today's session.
Thanks for joining our webinar as well. I'm really excited to have you.
Thanks
Okay,
for having
so
me.
just moving along, today's agenda, we're going to start off by talking about the evolution of customer service. Then we're going to kind of talk about some of the main pain points that we find a lot of our customers and businesses across the globe are facing. Then we'll start to dive into Service Hub and share with you some of the tools that we think HubSpot's developed really well to be able to help in scaling support as well as driving retention in businesses. Then if we do have some additional time, we'll end it off with a Q&A. But what I'll say is if you do have any questions for us while we're talking during the webinar, feel free to drop them in the Q&A section, which we have in Zoom. Hopefully you know where that is because I don't exactly know what you're seeing on your side, but I'll try and answer them along the way. Or if you don't have time, we'll try our best to follow up with you after the webinar as well. So just starting off, Mo, how do you think the customer service is evolving and what's changing about it?
Well, I think that's firstly a great question to start with because really and truly over the last decade or so, we've seen a lot of shifts within customer service and support. But just from a lot of the work we're doing at HubSpot, yourselves at BBD Boom, and our customers, one of a couple of things that we've seen as far as a shift is that traditionally customer service and support has been very much viewed as a cost center. So it's seen as this place where a lot of investment goes into, but there's really a question mark around the value add that we get out of it as a business or as service leaders, let's say. And it's been a linear growth model whereby we get more customers, we need more reps. So ultimately, more reps in headcount is how we approach solving the growth, let's say, question. And
Yes.
then the second piece in that as well that we've noticed is also when it comes to the solutions and tools that we're using in order to enable our customer experience. So really using a whole multitude of systems, whether that be a telephony system, your assisted chat, and other kind of tools. So effectively really having a more isolated tool. So really not being able to get that unified view and limited insight. And
Yeah.
then the final piece that I think we hear more often than not is that when we think of that North Star, what are we doing within service and support? What's our service goal? It's really around closing tickets in the old way. So we're here
Yeah.
to resolve issues, and that's really just meeting a benchmark, right? A benchmark of meeting customer expectations or what we think customer expectations are. And then if we look at the new way and what's been disrupting that a little bit, including things like low CSAT, AI,
Big
and even
topic.
just shifting goals, big topic, we all like it. So real question around how can we lead into it a little bit more. In that new way, we do see AI empowering reps and really looking at the shift in customer service and support into a more digital first approach. And
Yeah.
that is something that a lot of progressive organizations are doing in order to enable their capabilities, having a more unified platform. So really being able to have one view or 360-degree view of the customer and all the different interactions, but also to use that insight, right? When we want to
Yeah.
improve processes, when we want to improve our CX, the only way we can do that is by understanding why our customers are contacting us, how we're resolving their issues, and what else might they want from us.
Yeah.
Um, and then the final piece, which I think you talked about around scaling, right? We talk about scaling a lot, and is how can customer service and support play a critical role within retention and growth? And that's something we hear continuously from all the customers I work with is around we want to be seen more as a revenue driving part of the business.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, we need to start being more proactive. Really, I like this term where it's like we want to be playing to win and less about playing not to lose. So I think that's
Nice.
something we've seen a big shift within, and definitely AI being a core component within that.
Yeah, I think retaining customers definitely understated. There's this saying as well, which I actually can't remember the exact saying, but it
Yeah,
actually costs you a lot less to retain a customer than gain a new one. So
yeah.
this kind
I
of
think it's
unified approach will
25.
definitely help it.
I think it's 25 times more expensive to gain a new customer than it is to
Right.
retain them. So
Big number.
big
Yeah.
number.
Alrighty, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving on. These are some of the pain points that I'd say HubSpot's identified in terms of getting from the feedback loop that they are continuously working on in terms of how these pain points can affect the businesses. So what we'll be doing is I'm going to talk you through these pain points, but we'll then use the solutions in Service Hub to kind of explain how HubSpot has used Service Hub to try and address and solve these pain points for businesses. So the first one is the lack of insight into customer health and their experience. I think this really just ties back into kind of that unified approach where things are really siloed, which kind of leads into that second point, where lots of businesses basically kind of have systems, multiple tech stacks that don't really talk very well to each other. There are integrations available naturally, but if they are not integrated well and you don't have the data you need to tell that story of your customer journey, you won't be able to kind of improve that customer journey as well.
Yeah.
That then leads into the lack of seamless customer experience. So, as Mo, you said,
Mm,
in the old way, we look at it kind of like a cost center, and
hmm.
things things like customer service, and you'll notice this a lot with companies with big databases, so like telephone businesses and things like that.
Yeah.
When you ask for support, you're constantly finding yourself having to like ask the same questions, repeating yourself over and over again. And while that obviously is not your intention, it can affect the brand reputation that you have. It gives a really bad impression. And most of the time, that's probably the most often they would have that interaction with your business because it's where they would need you most. So it's
Yeah.
really important to make sure that that is a really nice, seamless experience. And then
Totally.
finally, we've got the high volume of low importance support requests. And Mo, you've mentioned this earlier as well. And there is actually a pretty cool tool that HubSpot has to solve this pain point. But yeah, like you said, the head count of having the increased number of support reps to overcome the volume of support requests is definitely a pain point that most businesses are dealing with as they grow and scale.
Yeah. And one thing to add there as well, because we talk about the impact of customer, or let's say a bad customer experience on a customer. At the end of the day, one of the things that service support leaders are really focused on is how do we play an active role in impacting loyalty? And again, how can the tools we use and the insight we have around our customer drive that a little bit more? So all the pain points you listed there, if you look at them and kind of reverse engineer them, a lot of them at an end result impact loyalty, because if we have a bad customer experience, it impacts loyalty. If we have lack of insight, it can impact loyalty. If our systems and tools are siloed, we don't have the insight in order to drive a seamless experience, impacts loyalty. So the end result is consistently coming back to we are hurting our own loyalty by not having the right tools in place and the right insight to drive.
Agreed. Okay, so moving on, we're going to talk a bit more about Service Hub and the features they are starting to introduce. If you're a user of Service Hub, you may notice that there's been quite a rapid growth of new features introduced. So we just want to highlight a couple of key ones that we think really help with the retention aspect of the customer journey. So Mo, would you be able to tell us a bit more of an introduction of what Service Hub is for anyone who doesn't know?
Totally, totally. And I mean, just to start off with as well, obviously we're super excited around the relaunch of Service Hub that has just happened recently, part of our spotlight. But Service Hub again sits within our broader customer platform. So within HubSpot, everything that we do and all the solutions we offer are sat on top of our smart CRM, which is AI powered, and we do see it as a customer platform. So there's one capability within that. But if we laser focus into Service Hub effectively is one of the few AI powered, I'd also say omni-channel customer service and support solutions that if we really kind of boil it down, it ultimately enables a lot of businesses and the customers that I work with to do a number of things, to be able to scale support. And this is a lot of the theme what we're talking about. And if you think about how through leveraging AI and being able to drive more self-service tools. So again, that more digital first approach, drive retention, right? We are going to talk about it a little bit later on, but in effect, if we're able to bring together that combination of support and customer success can really have a impact on your overall retention and how service is viewed. And then of course, increasing customer value as well is another thing that Service Hub is very much focused on. If you think about how is around unifying that view of the customer and being able to leverage HubSpot's AI powered CRM, which again powers everything within the tool and the platform in order to give you that visibility into the customer.
Thank you, Mo.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start off by introducing some of the tools in Service Hub that helps with scaling support. Before I go into the details, I also do want to mention that today we're going to be mentioning a couple of Service Hub tools, but we do actually have a few additional ones that we'll not be mentioning in here. But when you do receive that email from us post-webinar, it will include a deck with all the tools, including ones we haven't mentioned. So if you do have any questions about that, just let us know. You can reach out to us.
And there's a lot of tools.
There's a lot of tools, yeah, which is why we don't want to show them all and overwhelm you.
Exactly.
Okay, so starting off with the first tool we want to introduce, which is the AI chatbot. Some of you might know about this already because obviously AI was like the talk of the town last year and I guess this year as well. But HubSpot has recently introduced the AI chatbot. Now, if you are a HubSpot user or a HubSpot customer, you'll notice that HubSpot's own support chatbot also has an AI aspect to it right now. I've used it a few times myself because you kind of have to speak to the AI bot before you get to an actual human. And I would say I've got a 50-50 response in terms of the answers that I want, although my questions can be very, very technical, so I don't really blame them. But yeah, basically the AI chatbot is really great. It's trained on data based on the content that you have on your CMS. So if you have website content, you've got content on your knowledge base, which is another Service Hub tool. If you've got content in your landing pages, your blogs, anything like that, the AI chatbot feature in your HubSpot portal will be able to kind of read the data that you've hosted on your HubSpot CMS and then be able to answer your customers' questions based on the data it's learned from there. So obviously, the better your content, the better the AI chatbot's going to be. It's all about like what data it's trained on as well. So I think this is a really good use case for SaaS businesses as an example. So if you sell software and you have a full knowledge base article or categories based on how to use software, rather than having an actual rep having to answer those questions with that human interaction, they might be able to get an answer instantly with AI. And also have it accurate because AI is able to kind of draw out the right answers based on the content you have on your CMS. Other things like self-service technical businesses that have a lot of kind of troubleshooting with technical issues, businesses that may require 24/7 support, but may not have access to a 24/7 support team. All of these types of businesses can definitely benefit from the AI chatbot. But yeah, Mo, how do you think this can improve the customer experience?
Well, I think as you've kind of listed there, this one's a real game changer. To list a couple of things here before I kind of go into the why. Number one, it's an out-of-the-box AI-powered chatbot, which is amazing, which means once you acquire Service Hub, you'll have access to that. And of course, can be set up for you depending on your knowledge base. But again, coming back to that point of kind of why this will help the customer experience. If we think of what we were talking about earlier around, high volume, low value interactions where maybe someone just wants to change some information on their account or they're struggling to answer a question, that link with your knowledge base and then it being AI powered will just help drive more self-service. And again, customers like to resolve issues themselves. So if it's a low value issue for them, they're happy to resolve it themselves. So having
Yeah.
that ability, I think, is a massive game changer. Will really help a lot of organizations reduce their overall cost to serve, which I think is something that's key to talk about. The other piece is around just having 24/7 support, right? A lot of
Yeah.
times you might not have the capacity in the team to do so and the scale. Well, we're talking about scaling here. So if you're able to have something like an AI powered chatbot on your website where customers can go to on the weekend, any time of day, answer questions, resolve issues before they even come in, that is another way to drive a more scalable, let's say, operation. And then the
Hmm.
final piece is around just reducing the number, and we talked about this before, the number of high volume, low value interactions. And when we think about that, why is that helpful? Because that means our reps and our agents can start focusing more on complex, high value queries. And that's really the difference between a high CSAT and a low CSAT, a good NPS and a bad NPS, right? If we're speaking to them on the phone, which a lot of customers still like to do, we're
Yep.
really helping them with issues that they need help with.
Thank you. Yeah, that's so true. Right, moving on to the next one, we have the help desk, which is a Pro Plus license feature. So if you're familiar with Service Hub, what you would be used to looking at is the shared conversations inbox feature, as well as the ticketing tool in HubSpot, where you've got the pipelines and kind of that table view. So a lot of feedback that HubSpot has gotten is that these are quite siloed and they're quite hard to manage, which is why they've introduced the help desk. So what I'm going to do is just quickly switch over to HubSpot. This is just our test portal, and just show you what the help desk looks like. So before I go into the help desk tool, if you are wanting to kind of opt into all the help desk features, if you're not currently aware, you have the ability to go to product updates, and then you can search for the help desk features and just join all the betas if you like. Basically, the help desk can be found under workspaces and then help desk. As you can see, this is a centralized area which includes the best of the conversations inbox as well as the ticketing tool all in one place. So I can basically look at all the chat conversations, and that includes also conversations for all sorts of different channels. So it could be from inbound calling, forms, inbound emails, chatbots, WhatsApp as well, I think is a new one that was recently introduced.
Yep.
So you can link them all up as channels and you can see them all in one place. You can sort them however you like. It could be based on this different sorts of ticket properties, which you can create custom as well. And then in terms of how to use it, you've got your list of tickets here. It's very customizable, as you can see, very similar to kind of your record dashboards. If I click into a ticket, I can actually open up that conversation straight away in one place, and then I can just flick back to the list view. So it's really, really easy to use. You don't have to jump from page to page anymore. And then a couple of things you can also do with it is you can do channel switching. So if someone's on a live chat and you want to switch it to email, you can do that. If you want to route tickets to people with specific skills, language skills, technical skills, anything like that, you have the ability to do that as well. That's another feature that it has within the help desk. So really, really useful. It's something that I've only recently really got used to it, but I am pretty excited about this feature because it's definitely something that's been highly requested even with my clients. So yeah, Mo, how do you think that the help desk will impact efficiency across the board?
I think it's a massive game changer. When you think about it, agents are already pulled in a lot of different directions when they're working. And let's be honest, whether it's contact centers or just service teams in particular, it's a high volume role. So being able to prioritize is probably the first thing I'd say. And having agents have the ability to manage different interactions with customers in a more seamless way with
Yeah.
context is important, so that providing a more in-depth view of the customer with past discussions and queries, and effectively keeping the customers from having to repeat themselves is
Yes,
another way. Again, we're
100%.
coming back to how can we stop and not impact our overall CSAT and NPS. Well, we know customers don't like repeating themselves, so if we can give an agent visibility, they can go into the next conversation arm. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, just allowing them to manage these channels in a more seamless way.
Yeah.
One of the things that impacts a lot of agents' productivity is typically having to switch from one portal or solution to another. And that also then has a negative impact on the customer experience,
Hmm.
because you come into that conversation, again, lacking context, having already switched from multiple channels. So having it all in one place is really and truly one way that you can maximize and really make the team more efficient. But
Yeah.
ultimately, end with good customer experience at the end.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on to the last feature we want to share with you regarding scaling support, we have the service analytics. So if you have Service Hub, this is actually something that's already available to you, but I thought it'd be good to mention for anyone who isn't aware. As you may know, HubSpot has a bunch of out-of-the-box reports, and that includes service analytics. So this gives you a really good overview of your kind of support team activity, how well they're performing, how quickly they're responding, are they keeping to SLAs, and that can give you that feedback that you need to improve your customer service processes. Mo, how do you think this can improve team performances?
I think this is a critical one here because when we think of improving our CX or our overall customer experience, it really is as good as our ability to understand what our teams are doing and how our customers are interacting with us. If there's any gap in that and there's no insight, then it's very difficult to start to look at improvements. And it's one of the things I get a lot of questions from a lot of leaders typically is, we have a lot of insight spread around the place, but then we're having to lean on a lot of different teams and analysts to, put this data together, visualize it, understand and interpret. So having that all in one place, which combines two things. One, your team performance. Number two is your customer feedback as well. So I think that's another thing that'll just generally, give the broader business and operation the ability to really look at where they want to play to win, and also look at where their teams can be more effective.
Yeah, and I think the extra superpower here is, Service Hub is part of the whole HubSpot customer platform, which means if you
Yeah.
need context behind the data, you can get that because it's all right in HubSpot, which is really, really helpful.
100%. And that again, that starts at pre-sales all the way through to post-sales. So I wouldn't even
Yes.
look at this just from that picture. If you're thinking about your team and how you first acquired your customer, that data is also important for the team that are now servicing that customer.
Okay, moving on, we're going to share a couple of retention tools that HubSpot has. So the first one I wanted to share with you is the customer success workspace, which is so new because I had to opt into beta to get this tool. And so once again, if you are interested in accessing this, if you go to your product updates tool, just search customer success workspace, you can opt into it. You do need to be a super admin to get access to it. So just reach out to your super admin if you don't have that access. But you can find that under workspaces and then customer success once you are opted into the beta. And basically the idea of the customer success workspace is kind of the equivalent of HubSpot's prospecting tool, but for customer success reps. And it gives you a really good overview of your client portfolio and any detail that you need to see in one place, which is quite useful. So you can see we've got a summary which gives you kind of a portfolio view here. It will give me that table view of like any information I want to know about the company, including sentiment, health scores, revenue, and so on. I've got my task list in here and I've got my calendar all in one place. So if you are managing your tasks within HubSpot, this is a great place for your customer success reps to just kind of start the day, log in, go straight into it, and just figure out what they need to do for that day. If you are an account manager that does manage upsells and renewals, you can also then access the deal and ticket pipelines directly in the workspace, which is quite helpful. And then you've got your scheduling and feed. Because this tool is in beta, I know that there will be a couple more advancements, which I'm excited to learn about, but already what they have here is quite interesting. And I think especially this was quite exciting to me. So from someone who works in customer success in our business, I do find that this can benefit us, especially when it comes to, for us specifically, capacity and resourcing. One of the ways we kind of try to juggle which account manager should be, or which solutions person should be assigned to which client is dependent on the kind of projects and the value of the project that you're managing. So this customer success workspace can really help you see that from a bird's eye view. Apart from that, a couple of other things. Yeah, like I've mentioned, upsells, cross sells, just monitoring health as an example. There is a health score kind of configuration formula that you can manage in the workspace as well, which is in progress, I believe, on a roadmap to be live across for everyone. And then, of course, your task management.
And if I can mention something as well on this piece is one we're super excited about because it really is, to your point earlier, right around managing your accounts, account managers, but it really is that bridge that bridge between customer service and then customer success, and bringing those two teams a little bit more together and unifying that approach.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that really is a game changer, and I mean it because there aren't that many solutions out there that offer this, to where you can, in the same team based on roles, have an ability to not only think about servicing your customer, but really look at how do we also grow and nurture this relationship, both from an upsell, cross-sell opportunity perspective as well.
Yes, I agree. So yeah, looking forward to see what else that will provide for us.
A lot more.
Now, the last tool that I wanted to share was the customer feedback surveys, which if you do have Service Hub Pro, it's probably one of the reasons why you got it in the first place, because I think that's kind of the key, like a key feature that everyone really loves. But the customer feedback survey allows you to create surveys, and you can build these standard ones that are based on very standardized customer service KPIs like your NPS, your CES, your customer satisfaction, and you can also create custom surveys with these. But what this allows you to do also is automation. So rather than you having to manually remind yourself to reach out and ask for feedback or booking calls with your customers, you can set up automations to say, right, if this customer has been with us for a month, I want to send out this survey to see how their relationship working with us has been over the last month. So there's a lot of things you can do with the customer feedback surveys, which is great. Mo, how do you think this tool specifically can help with retention?
This tool, again, it comes back to that other piece, right? If we want to drive retention and loyalty, we need to understand our customers a little bit more. So again, having that ability to have the relevant insight, the relevant finger on the pulse of what your customers feel about those interactions. And I think the other thing you mentioned as well about doing these surveys in an automated way. One of the biggest challenges for a lot of organizations is that they're not automating some of those surveys. And a lot of time with these surveys, customers are more likely to respond to a survey when it's an immediate survey post-transaction than it is, a day or two later. So again, having the ability to impact them by putting the surveys out in an automated fashion post-transaction. And then the other piece is that we are able to gather that insight. And now we have a really good view into what our customers like, what they don't like, how are they scoring us, and we can really make some decisions around our customer experience that's linked directly to how our customers are actually responding and giving us feedback. So I think it's a really helpful kind of tool.
Yeah, I mean, what I find is people, they rarely give feedback voluntarily. You have to ask for it because it's just not in their interest to do so. So automations are helpful.
Exactly.
And if you find patterns whereby you notice at specific times of your experience or your relationship with the customer, they're more likely to give you a good review. You can set that up as an automation so you don't forget to do it next time,
Totally.
which is very, very helpful. But yeah, basically this concludes all the features that we wanted to share with you today. But like I said, there are a few others that we haven't really covered. And so I remind you to just have a look at the email that will be sent out to you after this webinar, and then you can have a look at the other features available. And if you do have any questions for us, you can reach out to us via all the details that I've got on the screen here. But yeah, thank you so much for attending this webinar. Hopefully you found it insightful. Let me know if you've got any questions, and thank you so much, Mo, for being a part of this webinar as well. It's been, really, really great to have you as well.
Thank you so much for having me. And I think to your point as well, if you're just in a service industry, service and support, definitely reach out to get a better sense of how it can help you in your business. So appreciate you for joining.